Hey guys, today we're going to be learning about recursion, and the goal is to see if we can take a string and see how many times our string has a letter 4. What am I letter 4? What am I saying? The number 4 or the word hi or anything like that. You can choose and change it up once you learn it, and we'll be learning how to do it in a recursive way, and as also we'll use a loop as well. So we're going to create two methods, one for the recursive method, one for the loop. First, we'll start off with a loop. We'll say public int. We want to return an int. We're going to call this with loop. It's going to be the name of our method with loop, and it's going to take the parameters. It's going to take a string called str, right? Str. Now with str, we're going to say for int equals I as long as I is less than str.length. I++. So this is how we do it with a loop. And then if, we'll say if string dot substring, right, I to, so how about we first start off with just something simple. So we want to see if a number 4 is in our string. So we'll say if string dot substring I to I+1, right, dot equals 4. Remember, this 4 is a string, not an int. Though if you have an int, you can always parse it to become a string. We're gonna say we're gonna create private static int counter. And this is gonna, by default, if you don't set a value to an integer, it becomes set to 0. And then we do counter plus plus. So every time this goes through in increments, it's going to check every single place counter for the string, and if it's equivalent to 4, then it counts. Otherwise, it doesn't do anything. You have to return something though, and what we're going to return is we're going to return counter, right? Now we'll test this out really quick. We'll say system.println, and we'll call the method with loop, and we won't call anything. Our parameters are going to be 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6. So this should return 5, right? Why does it return 5? Because there's 5 fours, right? Now, if we save this, we're in a terminal. Oh. Make it static. Then we run the program, and we got 5. So it worked. Great. So now if we change this, let's say, to be equal to hi, right? And now we have to do I plus 2. We can't just say I plus 1. And also we're not going to look at, because this is going to throw an error. I mean, not an error, I'm sorry. It's going to throw an exception. So we're going to say -1 dot equals hi, and then if we change our string that we take in to be hi, by, fly, hi, this should return 2 because it contains 2 highs right here. And then we run our program. See, it returned 2 because our string contained 2 highs. Now we're going to try to do the same thing but recursively. So you guys saw how it worked with a loop. Now we create another method. So public static int with recursive, and we'll say string stir, same as above. And then we'll have to, with recursion you have to put a, here I'll explain that then. We'll say if our string dot length is less than, so we're testing high here, so less than 2. Because if the string dot length is less than 2, that means there's no way that what's it called? 2 is only 2 characters long. So if it's less than 2, then it can't return anything. Otherwise, if our string that's substring, we'll say 0 to 2 dot equals high. We want us to, we're going to return 1, right? So what this does is it goes through the entire string, right? And it's going to call the method again. I'm going to call the method with recursive. But this time, we're not going to look at the string normally. We're going to, because we need the string needs to get smaller, right? Otherwise, we're not getting anywhere. So we're going to do string dot substring. And this time, we're going to start at 2. So what this does is, this checks here and says, okay, 0 to 2. So this spot, all this, is equal to high. And then it returns 1 plus, it calls the method again, right? Otherwise, if that's not true, then we just want to call the method again. This time we don't want to go by 2 because we don't have it high. We just want to go by 1. So let's say we had a x high by. It says, okay, x and h, that's not high. So I only have to go and check out the string with 1 to the right. This one says, okay, this is high. So I go 2 to the right and I only look at fly by fly high. I don't look at the high in the front here. So let's save this. Let's see. Oops, we have to call the right method with recursive, right? And then we want to, what did we do wrong here? Oh, put a semicolon. Okay, so then we run it. By the way, this is compiling it. This is running it. If you're using your terminal. If you're using Eclipse, you just press compile and run. Okay, so this said 2. If we change this, we said high, high, high. Some random words high. This should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this should return 6. So always just save. Compile. Run. See, 6. So again, I'll go over what we did recursively. So this checks, okay, if the string.length is less than 2, we're going to return 0, right? Because there's no way that there's going to be a high if it's less than 2, because 2 has to be 2. It has to at least be 2. Now, if the string.substring 0 to 2 is equal to high, we want to return 1 plus, we're going to call the method again. And what this does is it opens another method, then that opens another method, then that opens another method until the string.length is less than 2. You see how it moves over 2 each time? So this moves over 2. Then it says, okay, there's no high here, so it only moves over 1, right? Then this gets called. You see the only time this increments is when it equals high, right? Then it keeps calling itself. It keeps calling itself. This method keeps running and running and running. And then all those return values get stored, right? They get stored and they all add up. And then it gives you the answer. It gives you the answer 6. So that's how you do it recursively. This is my first video on like trying to teach programming. If you guys liked it, let me know. If you guys didn't, let me know. Let me know if you want to see more videos on anything in the future. I'd be down. So thanks for watching and bye.